You grew up in South Fallsburg, New York?
Yeah.
And I read
Small
somewhere...
town.
A small town.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere, maybe in your bio, if I had been growing up in a better environment, my music would be dirtier.
Maybe.
Can
It's a possibility.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Maybe if I grew up in a beautiful little perfect town, then I'd want to balance it out by making music that sounded a little bit filthier, a little more angry, just to scuff it up. You know, when you get a pair of shoes that's a little too polished, you want to drag them behind your car. You know what I mean? Okay. And I think I grew up in an area that had enough grit to it, and then I wanted to make it a little bit prettier.
But can you explain how was the environment there? I don't know.
Well, it was a prison town, so there's 3 prisons in my hometown, and the prisons provided a lot of jobs, you know, for the town, and that's very popular in the U.S., certainly in the state of New York, to provide jobs.
Yeah, yeah. Your father was a prison guard.
Yeah, prison guard, and so a good percentage of the people who you're growing up with are affiliated with the prison system somehow. Some are the sons and daughters of the officers, and some are the sons and daughters of the inmates. You know.
Yeah.
So it's very particular.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't like it as a kid there?
I loved my house, you know, my family was cool, and I had some great friends. And I think I had a good childhood. It just, I think it could have been kind of more perfect, like these quaint little European towns that you have. They're very beautiful, you know.
Did you, when you were younger, you dreamt of beautiful towns or other parts of the world, or?
Not necessarily. I didn't know what to dream of, you know. I just had my reality. The reality was good, but and socially, amongst my family and friends was good. But I knew that there were elements to it that were wrong in that way, you know.
And when you looked at the prisons, you thought, oh, don't do something stupid, or...
You don't want to go there for a living, right? Yeah, I think so.
Were you a good kid, or...?
I think so, for the most part. For the most part. You know, I mean, I got into trouble like everybody else, you know. I had...
What's the worst thing you've done?
Sure, I don't know, man. I'm sure I've done some doozies. But I guess, I don't know. Probably couldn't even talk about it. I mean, I've gotten in trouble and stuff like that, you know. You're kids. You're growing up in the country. You're in the woods, and you're bored, you know.
And stuff happens.
Yeah, and you're a kid, you know. You're like adolescent, teenager, and you're also, especially when you're a boy, you know, you want to. There's something fun about getting in trouble here and there, stuff like that. So, stupid.
Okay. Yeah, about your music.
Yeah.
You started playing pretty early as a kid.
Piano?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started playing the piano. I was about 9.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't.
I was always.
Was it really dirty music as you?
No, no.
What kind of music did you start playing? Why did you?
When I was 9, yeah, it was like a lot of music that I didn't like. It was like 18th century, like English folk music and stuff like that. That was just because I had a teacher come over to the house, you know. And,
you had to practice there.
I wanted to learn music, you know, because there wasn't much to do. And I always loved music. I just wanted to know how to do it. And I had a teacher come over, but the kind of music that I was learning wasn't the kind of music that made me want to play, you know?
Yeah.
And I put up with that for a few years, trying to learn the technique. But I didn't really practice much because, you know, I'd rather play football or, basketball or something. You end up playing the day that she would come over to the house. That's what you do when you're a kid. You can sit around and practice. It's boring. So then ultimately I, asked about certain things technically that would help me to learn on my own. How to make a chord, how to read tablature, stuff like that, guitar tablature and things like that, and apply it to the kind of music that I wanted to play, which is more popular style music, like classic rock and stuff like that.
Do you remember what were the first songs that you did like, that you could play?
First songs I did like I could play, probably Procol Harum, Whiter Shade of Pale. It's probably the first song I ever started playing, and it was my dad showed me how to do it. He wasn't a piano player, but he could just sit down and figure stuff out, just be like, oh yeah, I think I figured this out, and that's probably the first one, popular style song that I could play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what other stuff did you like?
A lot of Beatles stuff, and the Doors, and Allman Brothers, and Elton John, and Van Morrison, Billy Joel, and man, there were so many. There's a lot of great music. Tom Petty, tons of bands, man.
Okay.
Lots of mostly it was a lot of baby boomer rock.
Yeah.
I like
your
that
parents,
stuff. My parents' generation.
Yeah.
I like those recordings. Something about I think a lot of it had to do with the recording process. Then, the equipment, the gear. It was imperfect, but there's something about that imperfect gear. Those performances when they sound a little bit messy, and they feel live, and it really adds to the feeling of those albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're recording yourself, try to
accomplish the same thing?
Yeah, a bit like that spontaneous.
Not on my major records. On the stripped album, I did something like that. For these records, I don't do that, but maybe when I get a chance to do some more re-recording and things like that, ultimately, down the line, I'll be able to make it sound a little bit dirtier, because I think it just adds so much feeling to the songs. Some of those natural distortions of the microphone, and things like that happen on those older albums and those rock records, and on those early soul records, the Sam Cooke albums and Otis Redding, and there's so many good ones, man. Bobby Bland and Freddie King albums, and a lot of it, I think, has to do with just the way those things were recorded.
Yeah, something else. Your brother Joey is also in music.
Yeah.
I don't know where I read it on the internet. Someone said, Kevin is like a rocket, Joey is like a time bomb.
That's funny.
You heard that one?
No, that's very funny.
I think it is in his bio or something.
Is that what he wrote?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think he wrote it himself, but.
Well, that's funny. I've never heard that before.
I don't know. Do you understand it?
I don't know. It might have something to say. It might have something to do with the things that we say. He has a different approach about interviews and things like that. Typically.
Okay. What's the difference? The big difference then?
I guess you'll have to ask him.
He's not here now.
Yeah, you'll have to give him a call and ask him. You could ask him the same questions you ask me and see what he says, and I guess if there are differences, you'll see what they are.
But you grew up, he's your older brother?
Yeah.
Like how many years?
3 years.
3 years older?
Yeah.
But you were both music lovers when you were growing up?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. But what's then the big difference between the two of you?
With the music that we play?
Yeah.
I think that I have a more of a. I think that I listen to old R&B records more than he does. I think that's probably the biggest difference. Is I'm into that stuff a lot. Maybe more so than he listens to it. And also he was much more into like the Guitar God kind of stuff. you know. But he was into that first. But I think he really showed me that stuff and helped me get an appreciation for it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you know, sitting around, we're 15 years old, you know, playing Ozzy, you know, all that Black Sabbath stuff, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listening to Yngwie albums and
Okay.
lots of Van Halen stuff, you know, the more when it was David Lee Roth, you know, at that time,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. And now
Yeah.
he's more like he's more into production, is he? Because
He's more
did the Josh Stone.
he's more indie, you know. It's like
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's cool as hell. He's a good songwriter, great songwriter, and kind of approaches his stuff a little bit more with a. It's kind of like Tom Petty meets Chris Whitley, you know. It's a little cold.
Cold.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I like it.
And yours is more warmth in your
A little
music?
more warm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the approach is just a little bit different.
Is it more does that reflect a bit you as a person, that you're more an extrovert and he is more introvert, or?
I'm not sure. He's extroverted enough. You know, I think we both pick and choose our moments, you know, to some level. It's hard to say. I guess it depends who you're talking to. You know, some people that make you not want to talk, then you become an introvert. You know,
Yeah.
you can go like this to the world and, you know, go like that to the wrong person, and you get me like, yeah, I don't know. I want to do that for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
At the beginning of your career,
Yeah.
but you studied under Berklee College of Music
For a short time.
for a short time.
Yeah, I'm not really into institutionalized learning of art.
No.
You know, maybe being that I don't paint, maybe it would be cool to go to a school of fine arts, you know, for visual arts or painting or something, but maybe only because I don't paint. But when you're playing music and you begin hearing the scientific breakdown of music, and it started interfering with my natural love for it, and it was interfering with how I felt the music. I didn't want to overthink it when I was listening to it, and I didn't want to overthink it when I was writing it either. And I felt like some of the types of learning of music, some of the theoretical approaches to it were making me become too calculated about my approach to music, and I wanted it to feel more primal than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't want to approach it like a scientist.
Yeah.
It's not a laboratory. It's an art. It's just art.
Yeah.
And it's about evoking a feeling. I'd rather approach it more like a Van Gogh. You know, it's more about the emotional aspect of the music versus the scientific breakdown of the music. And I felt like the institution was making it feel scientific. you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. And then you moved to New York and played in bars.
Oh yeah.
There's, I always think there's this romantic idea about, Bob Dylan did it.
Yeah.
What's the downside of it? Is it really that cool?
I like it. I still do it.
Okay.
There are elements of it that are romantic, but there are also elements of a starvation strike that are romantic too, but I don't want to do that. So
Yeah, but because there are maybe friends of yours or that you made it more or less in music, but the people who didn't, maybe.
Well, they're talking about the romantic aspect of playing in bar rooms and being around the drinking public, just there to hang out and stuff like that. I think that there are definite pluses of that. The downside of it is it's hard to make a living. You spend a lot of time poor, and really just, you know, have a really hard time coming up with rent money and food money and that stuff. And I guess that is the only redeeming aspect of living like that, is that you really like playing music enough that it's worth it. Living poor like that, you just, as long as you can just scrape by enough, you know, to come up with enough money for your rent and enough money to eat, then you're happy because you're around other musicians and you have people around you who are of the same interests. You know what I mean? And you have really talented people around you. There are a lot of talented people living in a very close radius, you know?
Yeah. Too many talented people in a small area.
So many good ones, you know?
Yeah.
And it became, even after I got a record deal and stuff like that, I still was frustrated. I was frustrated for my friends, you know, because they're so talented, and they deserve the same types of thing, you know. They deserve the same attention, you know. A lot of them do, and they're great, and it's so frustrating because when you get out here in this world of making music for the public, it becomes very disheartening when you see a lot of the music that's being marketed to the public, and it's so much of it isn't musical at all. And it's really upsetting because I know so many good ones, you know, who really love music, and they play music because they love it. They don't just play music because they want people to look at them, you know, and throw money at them. They want to play music because music feels good, you know, and it ain't all about the clothes. It's about your passion, and they're great. And there's so many out there who are making a better living than my good friends. And so many of those people who are making a living, they don't have any passion for the music. All they have passion for is their own fame. And it's pathetic. It sucks.
Yeah, okay. Chariot, if you listen to it now, how do you look back on it?
How do I look back on it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm proud of it. It's interesting because when I listen back, and I can revisit where I was when we were recording it, and that entire that whole phase of my life, the excitement of your first opportunity to make a big imprint, you know, the potential to make a big imprint on the world. The idea of the possibilities, you know, and man, it's such an interesting feeling because you're thinking, man, I have an opportunity here to take these songs that I wrote in my apartment, right, or my house, or at the coffee shop, or at the bar that I was working on, playing in these places. I have an opportunity here for the world to hear it. It's almost unfathomable that the potential could be so big, and it makes you want to dream big. And I go back to that feeling that I had when I was in the studio making that album. It's such an interesting phase of my life, because you know, there's only one beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And it feels like the beginning, you know. It feels like the first time you pack up your suitcase to go on your first tour.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Okay. Yeah.
You're like, I'm going out into the world, you know. Here's my lunch. Here's my gas money.
Yeah.
Right? Here's my suitcase. Here's my guitar and my amp. And I'm gonna go, you know, see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. The new album.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just explained the feeling of the first album.
Yeah.
What's for you the big difference with the new one? There's more guitars on it, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely edgier production.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference in feeling?
Difference in feeling for me.
Yeah.
The difference is that psychologically, if you've had some success with the first album, like I had with the first album, you have some level of fear and some other level of anticipation of it being even more successful. So you fear less success as compared to your first album, but you also have that eager anxiety of, wow, wait, this could really make my career. You know, a second album could solidify your career. It can separate you from all of those other artists who had one hit song or had one hit album and then you never heard from them again. You know, the one hit wonders of the world.
Does it scare you, that idea? That you
yeah, to some degree, yeah, I think it does. And at the same time, I like to gamble, and it's very exciting. This is so, it's a casino effect, you know?
You win or you lose? Or?
You win or you lose. And I think that's really exciting, you know, and I'm betting with my life. And that's a big bet. It's a big bet.
It is, yeah.
But I love the feeling, and time will always tell.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, really last question we have to
Yeah.
quit. Is there one song that means most to you on the new album?
On the new album?
Yeah. Most important.
I'm trying to think if there's one that stands out that washes the other ones away. I don't know
or maybe there is.
about one that separates it. Lyrically, one of the songs that stands out in my head is Untamed.
Okay.
Lyrically.
And what?
Because it helps. Because a lot of my point of writing is the sense of self and the idea of being content with who you are to some degree and not allowing someone else to manipulate who you are. So lyrically, that song right now in my head, that really helps. But perhaps the most important song, as I'm counting the songs and naming the songs in my head, might still be We Belong Together.
Okay.
Because I think it holds so many different factors in it. You know, there's so many comments made in that song and so much imagery in that song. And I think that has powerful messages built within it. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna pick that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, we have
Pleasure, dude. Pleasure, dude. Thank you.